So how do you take a picture of a bullet going through an apple? All high-speed, single-shot pictures have one key ingredient. How do you know when to set off the flash? That's the trick in every high-speed photograph. The bullet is traveling along. It's faster than the speed of sound. It has a shock wave that goes like a V behind it. Down here, out of the picture, is a microphone. When the shock wave hits the microphone trips the flash, and you catch the bullet at that position.
These photographs were taken by Harold Edgerton, an inventor and electrical engineering professor at MIT. Doc, as he was known on campus, was looking for a way to study the subtle dynamics of air, fluids, and engines.
Edgerton was studying large electric motors, and he used primitive strobe devices to study the rotation. He didn't like what he had for equipment, so he started inventing his own.
It takes less than a second to smash an electric light bulb with a hammer. The Edgerton camera shows what really happened in less than a second.
A synchronous stroboscope is something that repeats, and it repeats at the same rate as the event that you're watching.
Edgerton demonstrated how his strobe worked in a short documentary film titled Quicker in a Wink.
Through this invention, you can examine machinery in motion. Here, a common electric fan is used in a simple demonstration that even I can understand. Or can I? Anyway, when you direct this light on a fan and synchronize the light flashes to the revolutions of the fan, the blades appear to be stationary. To make sure they aren't, it's better to turn an ordinary light on the fan than to stick a finger into it. Effects evident only while a machine is in motion are thus easily discovered. In case you're still skeptical, we'll drop an egg. Fresh, I hope. Yes? No. That egg smashed in the blink of an eye, but let's drop another and see what really happens. It bounces from blade to blade before it breaks. Interesting. Note the narrow blades on this fan. And so, using smoke to point out the action, our prof shows us what these fan blades actually do to the air. Chopping the ozone, the narrow blades send off small whirlpools of air which quickly break up.
So if you can imagine a fan blade, the flash goes off at exactly the same position each time. To you, it looks like it's stopped.
Edgerton could control the flashes in a way his predecessors couldn't. He could get brighter flashes that were lit for a shorter period of time with more precise timing on exactly when the strobe would go off. That technical capability, coupled with his extraordinary photographer's eye, allowed him to take the photos that became the icons for the world.
Doc's pictures, many of them just had this startle factor because they just had never been possible before.
I always thought that my cat, in lapping her milk, curled her tongue up. But now it's revealed that she curls her tongue down. See? In other words, she brings the milk up on the underside of her tongue. Now see how smart you get when you go to the movie? Here's something interesting. Now, break it up, fellas. I'm referring to the soap bubble. Anyway, by photographing this action at the terrific speed of 1,500 pictures a second, we find that the bubble does not break when the pencil punctures it. In fact, the pencil penetrates almost to the other wall of the bubble, and now it breaks. And now it breaks. And now it breaks. Thank you.
When you look at that beautiful crown, that splash with a drop of milk, it turns out it's telling us fluid dynamics that to this day we still don't understand.
As the drop hits the thin layer of milk, it forms a crown. Pretty? Another one. Well, so much for the fancy diadem.
What seems to be happening is when the drop hits, jets of liquid come squirting out in the sides, but there's air resistance, and somehow that turns it up into the sheet. And at that point, you've exhausted my understanding of the fluid dynamics.
With an electric current passing through a tube filled with gas, Doc found new ways to produce high-intensity, short bursts of light that could freeze time and turn it into a moment we could all witness.
He set about to make flash photography so popular that the demand would force an industry response to start making it. And he obviously succeeded. The way he did it was to equip the sports photographers with flash equipment. In about 1940, he took a picture of Joe Louis knocking out at his opponent just at the instant of impact, and nobody had ever seen a picture like that before. That helped put high-speed photography and Doc Edgerton on the map.
During World War II, Edgerton's techniques caught the attention of the US military, who asked him to develop a giant strobe for aerial reconnaissance missions. After the war ended, the Atomic Energy Commission wanted to leverage his techniques for another special project, photographing nuclear weapon tests.
What it takes to make an electronic flash turns out to require very much the same kind of circuitry as it takes to set off a bomb. Nuclear blasts put out a lot of radiation, a lot of X-rays, and X-rays fog film. So that made it particularly difficult to take a picture of an atomic bomb blast. So they invented a magneto-optic shutter. It was basically a piece of quartz with a magnetic field. And a magnetic field on quartz changes what's called a polarization. So you could change it very fast. So you'd let the light through to take the picture, then turn it back off again and stop the light from coming in. And each one of these still cameras had one of those, and each one opened it at a slightly different time. So with 200 cameras, you could get a movie of 200 pictures. And that was called the Rapitronic camera.
The magnetic field shutter was so fast that it could capture critical details of how a bomb's fireball evolved over time. It also revealed the mottling of the fireball, which are those spots you see here inside the explosion. The camera became a valuable diagnostic tool that scientists could use to understand exactly what happens after a nuclear bomb detonates. Edgerton helped scientists and engineers uncover dynamics at the millisecond, revealing subtleties about the mechanics of nature and physics that were just hiding in plain sight.
Edgerton, as far as I understand, thought of himself as an engineer. He didn't think of himself as a photographer or an artist. He was an engineer solving engineering problems.
He was a person who had a good sense of humor. He liked people. He was very encouraging. So if you walked in and said, I've always wanted to try building this kind of a circuit, he'd say, well, there's a soldering iron, a workbench, what are you waiting for?
Edgerton is considered the father of modern high-speed photography, and his legacy lives on in everything from slow-motion videos we see on YouTube to the advanced imaging techniques we see in labs trying to capture details at the cellular level.
So if you look at the high-speed world today, the technology is fundamentally different from what Edgerton did. Edgerton worked with high-speed film cameras where the film would be coming behind a lens and you'd use a strobe light to freeze the motion, or other techniques with film. Today, they have a high-speed video camera, an expensive piece of video gear designed to capture megapixel images at thousands or tens of thousands of frames a second. While that technology is new, beyond that, the techniques are really the same.
A big drop breaks loose. Then it's followed by a tiny drop. First a large one like this, then a little one.
There are strange and wondrous things happening on timescales our eyes can't capture, and that it's possible to capture them and take it apart and dissect the motion and learn something new, helping people see things that they hadn't seen before.